Good afternoon, Blue River family. I am eating some daily bread here. I've got it's English muffin, blueberry nooks and crannies. It's delicious, one of my favorite things. The bottom line is I could eat 5 of them, and still a couple hours from now, I would be hungry again. That's the way it is with physical food. John chapter 6, Jesus feeds 5,000 people, and it's an absolute amazing miracle that he performs here. The people needed food. They were not in a position to get it themselves. And so Jesus, he makes it happen. And so I'm going to read a portion of John chapter 6, and we're going to talk a little bit about the bread today, the bread that lasts. So John chapter 6, beginning in verse 9, it says, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many?" You guys know this story. Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, about 5,000 in number. Jesus then took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they had eaten their fill, he told his disciples, "Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they said, "This is indeed the prophet who has come into the world." So an absolute amazing miracle. He feeds them. He feeds all of these people, gets their bellies full, gets them happy. But then his awesomeness in this particular chapter doesn't stop there. So he stays behind while his disciples get in a boat and they go across the lake. And let's see, it says the disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. And by this time it is now dark. So Jesus stays behind, his disciples go out. They actually row out 3 or 4 miles, the text tells us, before Jesus actually appears to them. I don't know if he started at shore and walked all that direction, if he just appeared there and began to walk on the water. I don't know. It's absolutely amazing. But more amazingness comes starting in verse 20 of chapter 6. It says, "But he said to them, 'It is I, do not be afraid.'" And it says they were glad to take him into the boat. I hope you're glad to take Jesus into your boat. So they were glad to take him into the boat. And watch this. It says, "And immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going." So they didn't have to endure the sea and all of the wind and all of that anymore. As soon as Jesus got in the boat, they were already to land. Again, more awesomeness by Jesus. But we're talking about the bread of life. We're talking about the I ams of Christ. And the I am of Christ today is he tells us that he says, "I am the bread of life." So we're going to read that. The crowd, they go looking for Jesus because he fed them. And so they go look, and they know that only one boat was there and that only his disciples got in that boat and left. They saw that happen, so they don't have any idea where Jesus went. But they just assumed that, well, Jesus got in and went with them, so a bunch of these people get in boats and they go across the sea to go find the disciples. And they finally find them. In verse 25 of John 6, it says, "When they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, 'Rabbi, when did you come here?'" Right? "How did you get here? We know that you didn't get in the boat with your disciples." But Jesus says this. He says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you are seeking me, not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves. Do not work for food that perishes, but for the food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give to you. For on him God the Father has set his seal." Then they said to him, "What must we do to be doing the works of God?" And Jesus answered them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent." So they said to him, "Then what sign do you do that we may see and believe you? What work do you perform?" Verse 31, John chapter 6. "Our fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, as it is written, 'He gave them bread from heaven to eat.'" Jesus then said to them, watch this, "Truly, truly, I say to you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven." Okay, what exactly is that? What is that true bread from heaven? Verse 33, for the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. And they said to him, Sir, give us this bread always. Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. Jesus is the bread of life. He is the food that endures to eternal life, and that's what we are looking for. We are looking for that food that feeds the inner man that Darren was talking about yesterday. That's the type of food that fills us, and when we ingest that food, it's not like an English muffin. It's not going to last for a couple of hours. It endures to eternal life. I'm going to put some questions and some other things down in the comment or as part of this post. Take part in that. Spend some time. I know you have time for one. God bless you.